think we're live. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, different live stream setup. So hopefully everything is working correctly. Let me know in the comment section that you can see me, that you can hear me. Fingers crossed this is all going as it should. I will put headphones on in a second and mute my. In fact, I guess I can mute that now. Yeah, you should be able to hear me. Mic should be good. Shotgun mic should be doing the job. And we've got camera controls over here to my right, so I'll be able to change camera so we can get some good looking camera shots of the guitar like this. Ah, nice. A little pixelated. That feels like a streaming issue, maybe. Shouldn't be pixelated. I mean, I'm running 4K cameras. Greetings from Dubai. I mean, who needs to see who needs to see my ugly face in great detail? Pixels are better. All of this information that I'm going to be covering today is information that is useful to you in audio form. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I'll look further into this as time goes on. You know what it is? I know this sounds ridiculous, right? But I'm not particularly tech savvy. I know for somebody that's got multiple 4K cameras set up and he can switch between his cameras on a live stream and he makes his living on the internet. I'm not very tech savvy. So, sorry about that. If you think that you're going to enjoy this stream, then please do share it with your friends. Of course, bit of product placement. See this here? See this here? Guided Guitar Arpeggio Practice Routines is out today. So please do go and grab a copy of that. Links in the description on Amazon. And we're going to talk about arpeggios today, which of course I've been doing a lot in my guided practice routines on Patreon, but also as part of the new book. I'm going to grab some headphones. I'm going to switch over to the guitar and we're going to talk about arpeggios. I mean, I don't know why I was so fussed about not having headphones on at the start of the stream. Like, what does it matter? I look fine with headphones on, right? Okay, let's jump on over to the guitar. So, doosh. So, what are we looking at today? Make sure I've got sound. If I can hear myself, that's good. If I can hear me, you can probably hear me. Greetings from New York City. It's my favourite city in the world. I love New York. I desperately need to go back. So, yeah, what are we looking at today? Well, I thought that we could look at the way arpeggios are traditionally covered when it comes to practicing of arpeggios. And then I'm going to give you some exercises to help you break out of the more traditional ways that arpeggios are played and taught. So some more horizontal positioning and fingerings for these arpeggios, which should open up the fretboard. And then we're going to look at how I would practice those with chord progressions. So that's very important. Or at least I think it's very important. So for me, when it comes to playing arpeggios, or anything on the guitar, to be honest, I'm an intervals guy. I'm only dealing in intervals. More Donnelly. I'll play Donnelly. Something like that. There we go. It's been a while. It's been a week. A week isn't a while, is it? So there's lots of arpeggios in that. Anyway, so the way I deal with everything when I'm playing is I think intervallically rather than pitch names, and that's going to be really useful for us when it comes to dealing in key changes, right? Playing over different chords. So let's take a C major triad arpeggio, and triads, great place to start. For me, I operate within a 3-position based system. So I have an A shape, an E shape, and a C shape. These are my primary positions that I would play out of. And rather than thinking C, E, G, I'm thinking 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, and 1. So you might think of this, or you might learn this, and you see this and call this an A-shape arpeggio. So yeah, A-shape arpeggio. Sometimes you'll see the third played on the D string, and some people like to play it on the A string. They're both valid. What I'm going to do just to warm up is I'm going to set a little groove on my loop pedal, and then I'm just going to play this arpeggio over the top of it. And I'm big with this sort of practice, as using this as a vehicle to make sure that your alternate picking is really solid. Picking one note per string is always people's weakness on the guitar, so it feels like a good thing for us to practice. So if I set up a little loop that maybe goes... earphones caught. So I would just take this and I would think eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'll just play my A shape, right? So, and again, don't hit the 7 on top. Or watch the picking hand motion. Triplets. That's trickier. Quarter 16th notes. Now sweeping would obviously be easier, but I'm deliberately wanting to do the alternate picking thing on that. So that's an A-shape pattern, right? And we need to know those. They have to just be ingrained in our playing. Same with the E shape. If I play around my E shape, 1 3 5 1 3 5 1 3, and I'll set my loop up. 1 3 5 1 3 5 1 3. Nice and easy, right? Triplets. So that's nice. Nice, relaxed, strict motion in that picking hand. That's our E shape. And then we have our C shape. So 1 3 5 1 3 5. You can go down to the fifth on the bottom string. I guess you can go to the third as well. Like that. Our triplets. Sorry, I'm trying to read a Facebook message. So that's our triplet feel. Those are our positional based arpeggios. And, you know, shred guys are going to practice. All that. Long time since I've done any of that. I'm interested in the consistency of the fingerings rather than the speed with which I can play them. So once I've done that, I would then do a sequence. So sequencing, for me, is the thing that breaks you out of playing arpeggios fast and instead looking at playing arpeggios in a more interesting way. So the very simple first sequence that I would look at, and of course I cover it quite a lot in my new book, would be our fours, our ascending fours. So if I put my C on, I would go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. We then want to play 4 more notes, but we'll start on the third of the arpeggio, then on the fifth, then on the root. Now what we have there is now, to me, that's a good example of like knowing a position. Let's bring the speed up a little bit. So let's. That's nice, all right. Definitely a little bit fast. Too fast. Just forcing us to break our arpeggio position up a little bit more, instead of just playing with the traditional fast, an arpeggio is something that we play quickly thing. We're breaking that arpeggio up. So I'm a big believer in sequences. And there's lots of sequences that you could do. You might take... So I'm playing the root, skipping the third, playing the fifth. Third, then root. Fifth, then third. Root, fifth. Which is a nice sound. That's tricky at that speed. So where was the mistake there? It's definitely the first downstroke. Anyway, so everything that we're covering here I would consider to be quite, vanilla in terms of arpeggio practice. And I want to break out of the vanilla into the interesting. So let me just click on this. So there's a picture of my new book. Check out the links in the description. Go and grab yourself a copy of Guided Guitar Arpeggio Practice Routines, where we have 10 weeks of practice routines, fully guided audio, where you get to play along with me There's, I don't know, about 5 hours of audio with the book, 170, I think, examples, a ton of backing tracks. You'll have a bunch of fun with it. So, thanks so much for tuning in, Esteban. Right, so there's the basic, okay? That's the basic. And I don't want to sit here and make you practice the basic on YouTube, because people people that consume YouTube videos tend to think they're better than they are as players. I know that because I consume YouTube videos. So I want to work on transitioning positions. So I'm not so interested in sitting and playing and just staying in position like that. So a great way to force ourselves to practice is to break out of the more traditional patterns that you tend to see practiced when you look at lots of guitar instructional material. So I remember, being a kid, and we would take like Jason Becker style. We would go. Now I don't want to do it like that, but what you're seeing there, of course, is a position shift on the top string, because it, naturally that's an easy place to make a position shift. Same thing applies when you're playing scales, right? If I play a C major scale, it's easy to make a transition on the high E string, and then on the low E string. But those positions on the middle strings are just as important. So what I want to do is I'm going to take my A-shape arpeggio, and I'll start on my lowest note, which is going to be the 5th of C. 5, 1, 3. 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. Or we could play. They're both valid, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to ascend up slowly, and we're going to change arpeggio position on the top string, and then come back down and change arpeggio position on the top string. So we go. And you're trying to disguise that arpeggio. Let's have a look at these. Are there some etudes for practicing jazz standard strategies? Yes. In the book, we look at a bunch of jazz standards, chord progressions. We do Donnelly, Fly Me to the Moon, All the Things You Are appears a lot, and there's some giant steps in there for chord progressions. And I did that. I've been doing that on Patreon for a while as well. Anyway, sorry. Back to the exercise. So A shape transitioning to E shape, and we change on the high E string. This is easy, right? We'll come back down on the E string. And you're trying to hide that position shift. You don't want your listener to hear it. It shouldn't sound like this. You don't want to hear the slide. You want definition between those things. That's the easy one. Then we'll do the same thing, but we'll transition on the B string. So the skill, of course, is being able to see our two chord forms and making the transition fluently. So first I would transition on the E string. And then on the B string. Helps if you can pick the guitar. Let's try that again. E string. And then the B string. So how am I doing that? Well, I'm going third, well, obviously, third 1 5 or 3 1 5. So that's my transition on the B string. Then I'll do the same thing, but I'll transition on the G string. So I'm on C, I'll transition to my third. And you're going to find some of these that feel nice. I don't mind that one. So I don't hate that one. The transition on the B string, very awkward. That's very awkward. All the more reason to practice it, of course. Then I'll do the transition on the D string. So I've ended up on the 5th. Whoops, let's try it. I should warm up before I do a stream, right? Then the A string. So I've made and then the E string. I'd go maybe like that. So that every time you ascend and descend, you're essentially playing the same pool of notes, but where you make the transition from one position to the next changes. So you want to take it really slow, because the key for this stuff is doing it in time. So if I go... So... Then I'll transition on the B string, and then the G string, and then the D string, and then the A string, and then the E string. So E string, high E string, B string. I'm making a mess of that. Probably didn't need to do that as triplets, and it was, obviously messy. But I want to be really clear about this. Like, what I'm showing you here, this isn't a thing that I've practiced a lot. This is a concept that I practice. So I can't sit here and say to you, the exercise that I've just showed you there, it doesn't appear in the book like that. That type of exercise appears, but it's not C major, and it's not the A shape moving up to the E shape. We should be confident to do this absolutely anywhere. For example, we've just practiced our A shape, getting our transitions into that E shape. And we can do it on any string. When you put enough practice into this, what you realise you're really doing is you're practicing the skill of being able to visualise two things at once and be able to confidently make those position shifts without your listener hearing them. One more time. E string, B string, G string, D string, A string, E string. So hopefully you didn't, obviously you can hear the transition, but we're doing our best to try and hide it as much as possible. So then we do the same thing, E shape to C shape. Reminder, E shape is this, C shape is this. So I can take it really slow. In fact, let's just do quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which gives us time to think, right? So we go E string, transition back down on the E string. Now the B string. So I'm having to look ahead and see that arpeggio. Transition back down on the B string. I don't mind that transition at all. That one feels good. G string. I like that one a lot. D string. I like this. A string. E string. So they all feel pretty good, to be honest. Eighth notes. B string. G string. D string. A string. And then E string. Maybe we do triplets. Whoops. Whoops. Too fast. That transition on the E string is the only one in there I don't like. 16th notes for fun. Let's get that right. If you make mistakes like that, loop it. So what you can see there is I've done, two different positions. Check these comments. You want the book so bad? Well, link in the description. You can go and grab yourself a copy. Get yourself a Kindle copy, very cheap. So yeah, there's two positions for us there that we've done, and then of course you would do the C shape, making the transition up to that, up to our A shape. And if I play them very slowly, we would have transition on the high E string, coming back down on the high E string, transition on the B string, transition on the G string, transition on the D string, transition on the A string, transition on the E string. That's a little bit trickier to go. You either want to go like, yeah, I'll probably put the fifth there. A bit messy. Yeah, so that's C. And you could put on your loop and then try going from C down here. And that's a way that I can get from the bottom of the neck, C major. But maybe I go. Or maybe I go. Or maybe I go. Every way I've done that there has been a different C major fingering, a different C major pattern to get me from the low part of the neck to the high part of the neck. But at its core, face back, but at its core, every single one of those arpeggios is still just C major, right? What we're demonstrating is just a very, very good understanding of fretboard knowledge. And fretboard knowledge is like, you know, a big part of what I teach, is a big part of freeing you up on the, if you can free your mind on the fretboard so that when you have to play, this is actually a difficult one because I don't have a camera set up with my face and the guitar, but in theory, if I look at you, I should be able to make some of these. You know, that was a C major arpeggio that went from the 3rd fret on the guitar all the way up to the 20th fret on the guitar, and at no point did I look down at the fretboard, because the knowledge, if this is the 5th, the root, the 3rd, the 5th, I need to move there for my root. Sometimes you're going to be a fret out, but the basic idea. And then before you know it, you can start saying, well, okay, why don't I look at some sequences? Why don't I look at playing my 4s, but instead of going, why don't I go? That was 4s, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Then starting on C, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then on E, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then on G, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then on E, C even. Let's go. And all of that is just, to me, it's just a good demonstration of knowledge of C major. We need to go to the 5th, sorry. Let's go. And it's just a nice demonstration of C major. So yeah, everything I played there is like I'm playing just the notes of C major, but you can see that it's covered the entire fretboard. Now, we'll check comments. Always a great day when Levi has a new book out. Never stop, man. What's next? Jazz blues soloing. What's next? Nothing. I'm toying around with piano for guitarists, but to be honest, there was quite a long gap. I'll bring my face up. Quite a long gap between my last book and this book. It had been like every 2 or 3 months for the last 4 books. But I actually got complete burnout. I got so burnt out from work and all my work obligations that I had to I'd asked for an extension on this book to push it back because it was just too overwhelming. And I need to take a break after this for a while. I've got some things that I'm working on, but I'm taking a little bit of a break from books. I think we're maybe looking at releasing a book May or June. And we've got some tentative titles, but I'm totally unsure on that, to be honest. But thanks for being excited by the book. Of course, the book. Let me grab it. Let's talk about it. Guided Guitar Arpeggio Practice Routines. It's a meaty one. There's 111 pages in here, and obviously full tablature and notation. And why don't I play an example from it? I mean, I'm posting a lot of examples from it over the coming weeks, over the coming days even. Let's find something interesting. Okay, yeah. So here I'm playing 3 to 9 arpeggios on, is that Fly Me to the Moon? I can see. Yeah, Fly Me to the Moon. Hard to read with it like this. But of course, Fly Me to the Moon would be, Fly Me to the Moon would be, never going to be able to read this like this, but we'll wing it. Da 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 da. So those are our basic chords. A 3 to 9 arpeggios where we go, instead of playing 1, 3, 5, 7, we would play 3, 5, 7, 9. So we're over an A. Then the D happens, and we play over the G7. We're going to play, which is actually 3, 5, 7, flat 9, and then C major 7. And that will give us. I'll put this back. I'll play the chords on my looper. So if I go. So just the first 4 chords. The example in the book covers the entire chord progression, but if I play 1 to 7, nothing wrong with this. One more time. Root, 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 root. But we could go. These are more colourful. And if you meld them together, we can play, you do those 3 to 9s, but instead of playing, you can octave displace them. So instead of going, if we go, so A minor becomes, D minor is, so yeah, that's me just playing arpeggio work over 4 chords of Fly Me to the Moon. And our knowledge of positions has to just be very strong in order to do that. Anyway, so yeah, thank you for 111 pages. Oh baby, add into the Amazon wish list, Connor. That's no good to me. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, so anyway, back to what I was doing before. C major, and we were covering a lot of ground, but it's not a trick, you know. If I then switch to F, which is important, I go. The same thing is true. Here's my E shape, and I can make my transitions. I could go E shape to C shape on the B string, on the G string, D string, on the A string, and on the E string. Then of course same in the C shape, B string, G string, A string, D string, A string, and then E string. And that's just, on the fly knowledge of that. Because we want to know that when F happens, we can play whoops. I don't have enough notes to go up there. And then, and here's the challenge, and here's when practice becomes a little bit more fun. As fun as it can be when you're limiting yourself to just the notes of the triad, which, to be honest, is the hardest practice for me now, because when I play over an F, I want to go... I've got all the other stuff that I just sort of fluently bring in. So limiting yourself, a limitation exercise, very, very good for practice. Let me keep reading. Really enjoying some of the books released by Guitar Vivo. Have I been approached by them to do any work? I have been approached by Guitar Vivo, and I know Luke at Guitar Vivo very, very well. In fact, I've collaborated with Guitar Vivo. I've done some promo work for some of their books when they've released books by friends of mine. I wrote the foreword for the Johnny Highland book. I'm aware of projects that they have coming up. They've obviously offered me, if I ever wanted to, that I'm welcome to write a book for them. And, I consider it, but at the end of the day, I don't see the difference, if that makes any sense. Like, I have a publishing company that I release books with, and to move to a different publishing company doesn't benefit me in any way. It doesn't harm me in any way, but it doesn't benefit me in any way. So... But Luke is putting out some really, really great material, and long may it continue, because a rising tide lifts all boats, right? So I'm supportive of what Luke's doing. Really enjoying. Just read that. Thank you, Levi. I will buy this one very soon. Good. Anyway, so if I take a very boring chord progression, let's go back to C. And actually, I remember I was going to go. We won't do that because it's too much going on. But just a C major. Going to an F. So now we've got changes. And you could practice position bass playing. C major. F. That's me staying in position. C. But but I'm more interested in the transitional stuff, right? So if F is here, C to the third. To the third of F. Third of C. Now, to me, this is a workout. I like this. That wasn't the right note. That's the wrong chord. So you can see, like, I'm making a lot of moves up and down the neck there, and it's just quarter notes, which isn't all that challenging. Not in a bad way. Sometimes it's good in your practice to not challenge yourself with tempo, but to challenge yourself with complexity. Big believer in that, actually. Then if I up it to eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... That's the 9. That's the 6. And that's funny when the mistakes start coming in like that. You might be thinking to yourself, "What is going on? Why so many mistakes?" The mistakes tend to happen because I'm looking at the fretboard, and then I go, "Okay, let's look up, let's close our eyes, let's listen and react." And then when the position shifts happen, you tend to make more mistakes in your positioning. But I'm trying to follow the ear a little bit more when I do that, which is where you can hear that I take like a rhythmic motif or a contour in a line and try and sequence it in different places. So it's just also occurred to me, though, that if you do go and get yourself a copy of Guided Guitar Arpeggio Practice Routines, and you want further study, whoosh, you can go on my Patreon page, link in the description. You can get access to all of the guitar profiles for all of my books. They're all available on the store page. So if you want to go and get the guitar profiles for this book, they have been posted already. And of course, I mentioned Patreon. Get access to my Patreon, get access to hundreds of transcriptions, ear training lessons, weekly guided practice routines, private lesson, singular, private lesson, and much, much more. So please do go consider doing that. Anyway, I'm going to bring my face up and I'm going to continue improvising over that face looking up, right? So. No, that's totally wrong. F. So at its core, very simple chord progression, just a one chord going to a 4 chord, C going to F. But it's very, very good practice. Now, I want to make it more difficult though. So I'm going to go guitar and face. I'm going to go C, F, G, C. I'm going to leave less space between them. So helps if you play correctly. So I'm going to force myself now quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. F, 2, 3, 4. G, 2, 3, 4. C, 2, 3. So C. Again, C. And at any point, I could always stop you and tell you what interval I've landed on, what interval I target. So I'm going to go through it again, and I'm going to, when I get to the C, I'll tell you what interval I land on. Right? So C, F, G, third of C, C, F, root of C, C, F, G, root of C. Root of C. Root of C. Third of C. Third of C. Root of C. third of C, root of C, root of C. So you can see each time I go through this, it's improvisation. I'm improvising through those changes, and I'm just using it as I'm using the notes of the chord as a framework to help see my arpeggios, which in the long run I'm going to start adding melodic embellishments to. Like, I don't want to play over this and actually play like that, but seeing that as my framework means that when I play C, I might play as a melody, right? So again, now I'm getting into comfort zone. When I'm doing that, I want to look up. I want to go. So yeah, I'm trying to play around the crispy looking sounding screen. Oh, hey Dan, how's it going? Yeah, so I'm trying when I do that to, not look at the fretboard. But the whole point of this is that in the long run, we're looking to be able to play transitionary arpeggios. Now, we've done it here just for triads. And just for major triads, it's worth pointing out, just major triads. If I put on an E minor, apparently I sped up while I was doing that. Try one more time. I should be able to play E minor. there somewhere. Now that was an E minor arpeggio that went from the open E up to the highest E that I can get on this guitar. You could sound that artificial harmonic there if you wanted. It's there somewhere. So E minor. But if it was C minor, there's just no hesitation. We're looking to be able to do this with like zero hesitation. So when we then put ourselves in a chord progression situation. So if I've been teaching Donna Lee on YouTube, sorry, not on YouTube, on Patreon for the last 4 weeks now. If I take the chord progression to Donna Lee, and this is, you know, where my improvisation is, where my arpeggio study and practice is. Just the first part of Donna Lee. In fact, actually, just for our practice, let me play it slower so you can try and do it with me and keep up. So. It's a dominant chord there. So A flat, F7, B flat 7, B flat minor, so I'm playing melodies through the changes. Outlining the changes. B flat minor, E flat 7, A flat major, A flat 7, D flat, G flat 7, A flat, F7, B flat 7, B flat minor, So I'm playing around those changes. I'm improvising around those changes. It's not composed what I'm doing. And the same thing again. I should really have a camera shot where you can see the face on the guitar. But when I do that, it is. F. And everything I'm doing there is, in my mind, arpeggio. You know, I'm thinking of it as arpeggio, and I do. In the book, I certainly talk about, in the book, go and buy the book, here to plug the book. In the book, I obviously talk about the line, like what is the difference between an arpeggio and a scale? Because to me, when I play, to me that's arpeggio, even though I'm playing these notes that aren't arpeggio, right? And I'm a big believer in everything that we've played, understanding that when I play a triad arpeggio or a seventh, anything that you might play, right? To be able to see that when I play this triad, these are just notes that are in the scale. And the arpeggio is really the framework of the chord, the sound, and the notes that aren't in the arpeggio are just melodic ways of embellishing the arpeggio. So I would play, and an exercise I love to do, and I teach it a lot in the book, is to go, so what am I doing there? I'm playing E flat. Don't know why I picked E flat. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I play 4 notes of arpeggio, and then I connect it with scale. Doesn't matter where I am. I can always see that the notes of my arpeggio are just, the notes of the scale are just melodic ways that I will connect up the notes of the arpeggio. So for me, arpeggio practice is really about putting on a chord progression. And I like playing standards, right? So if I take, let's take like the first part of All the Things You Are, classic. If I go, so F minor, B flat minor, E flat 7, A flat major 7, D flat major 7, D minor 7, G7, C major 7. First I'll just do this, right? Okay. We can do that. We can play in like higher octaves. You go. Just 4 notes of the arpeggio. But then I'll play quarter notes and I'll connect them, so. I wanted to move to the next key, the way it does in All the Things You Are. What is the name of the book? That's a good question. Guided Guitar Arpeggio Practice Routines. Link is in the description. You can get a copy on Amazon right now. 111 pages. Discover an intervallic approach to soloing. Discover triad, seventh, and extended arpeggios. Learn to think horizontally and vertically. Quickly improve speed, technique, and fluency. 150 examples of tab notation and audio. And I cannot downplay the audio for this. There is 5-6 hours. There's a lot of audio. A bunch of backing tracks that I made to go with it, of these, standards that we play with. It's not jazz. It's not, well, okay, there's a lot of jazz stuff in there, but it's not just jazz. There's pop chord progressions that we have to play melodies over and solo over. We talk about the blues, obviously, because it's important. I'm just, in my study, I'm in a jazz place right now, so I'm that's where I want to be putting all of my time. So when I play like this, I'm going to be doing that sort of thing. But so guided guitar arpeggio practice routines. Every single example, every single audio example is recorded, so you can listen to it. And then there's a full playthrough of the routine with me playing it and talking whilst I'm doing it. So I'm walking you through what exercise we're doing, how many repetitions we're doing, things to note, and important things to learn and help you practice. And the idea is that you practice the routine in its entirety once a day, every day for a week, and then you move on to the next routine. So that's the idea. Still haven't fully recovered from example 3P from the guided chord routines. Sorry, bro, sorry. Anyway, so yeah, again. Again, F minor, 3rd of B flat. I like these. You really want. So yeah, you can see I'm just outlining the chord changes there, and we're not looking to necessarily, it's all relative, isn't it? We're not looking to necessarily play the most inspired vocabulary. I'm trying to make things musical by using rhythm, but I'm trying to just limit myself to the notes of the arpeggio. Occasionally, little flavors of other things, but this is just a skill that we're learning to develop to be able to outline chord changes. So I'm playing jazz there, but if I make it a blues, right? If I go. Yes, Rob, the private lesson tier is open on Patreon. You can grab yourself private lessons at the moment. Same idea, okay? Just ascending arpeggios. A7, D7, A7. And then connecting, so we go. Played a bit of nonsense over a blues there, right? But I'm outlining the chord changes, and in a way that you very rarely see when someone is going. That's me just playing minor pentatonic over there. And there's nothing wrong with just playing minor pentatonic. Maybe I play blues scale over the A, and then when the D lands, I'll tell you what, I'll play blues scale over the A, blues scale over the D, then when the A7 altered lands, I'll play, which is like an A7 flat 9 sound, then the D, I'll play D. Something like that, and it will help like land is probably the best way to describe it. So So I'm choosing to use arpeggio rather than forcing myself to just play arpeggio for the whole thing. You can arpeggios and knowledge of arpeggios and knowledge of your fretboard doesn't mean that you have to, only play arpeggios. So that's all I'm going to talk about tonight, because I've been going for over an hour with just some arpeggio practice. Maybe, take a leaf out of my book with this. Give yourself that challenge. Go for that one exercise where you just force yourself to be able to transition from one position to the next position on each one of your strings. And then ask yourself, can I play an arpeggio for any key? Can I, like circle of fifths, can I go C major? F major. B flat major. We'll go. E flat major. We'll go. E flat major. No, that's not E flat major. That's E flat. A flat major. Just challenge yourself. Could we go around the circle of fifths and play an arpeggio for each one of the chords, starting low and just moving up high, and not putting ourselves in the position. Hey, Craig. Not just putting ourselves in the position where we're going the things that we know, the finger patterns. We can do that. We can. All of those. Been there, done that. It's like stuff like that is like muscle memory stuff, and I want to know, listening melodically, C major. It's not the guitar. That's a good way to end the stream. Actually, the guitar isn't important. The guitar is merely the medium that we use to express the musical idea. Now, I think that some people, when they play the guitar, what they enjoy out of playing the guitar is the playing of the guitar. So it's like, I don't know, like shooting guns or something like that. Like cooking food. Like some people love cooking food because they love to eat good food. And some people, maniacs, like cooking food because they like fire. And they like the sound of something like frying when you put a crust on a steak, whatever it happens to be. To me, the guitar is merely the thing that I use to get the music out. So to me, when I'm practicing arpeggios, what I'm really doing is I'm trying to use this and get better at using the instrument to externalize the thing that is internal. And the thing that is internal is a C major arpeggio. The guitar is the vehicle which I'm expressing that. So I'm not so interested in tricks like, oh, did you see him do this amazing thing on the guitar? I don't care. I care about, did you hear him play this amazing thing? Did you hear how beautiful that thing was? And I think that study of our instrument in a way that encourages us to put emphasis on listening to everything we play and have a connection between the sounds that we hear and the sounds that we want to make and how to do those things, rather than being led by what our hands are good at doing on the guitar. You will see immeasurable benefit if you focus on that. So please do. Please click the link in the description. Go get yourself a copy of Guided Guitar Arpeggio Practice Routines. Very much appreciated. I can do this and you can see it then. There's a picture of it. And if that doesn't suit, you can also head on over to my Patreon page, where you will get access to hundreds of transcriptions, ear training videos, weekly guided practice routines. There's also piano for guitarists up on my Patreon page. You can have private lessons and much, much more. So join now, link in the description. You can also head on over there actually, and you can grab yourself the guitar profiles for any of my books, including the new one. So I could update that image, but I won't. But if you go in the store on Patreon, you can just go and get yourself the guitar profiles. which when you combine them with the book means that you can practice and study your way. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. It really does mean a lot. Share the video and all that good stuff. If you have any questions, sound off below. You know where you can reach me. And I will probably be back later in the week to do more streams like this, okay? So talking about more arpeggios, all right? So get to work, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.